Excuse me. I'm sorry. I hit the button in the wrong time. But I really think things are changing. We'll be right back. It's coming up on 45 minutes past the hour here on the Thom Hartmann. Well, it is 45 minutes past the hour here on the Thom Hartmann program. Talk media for the sane among us. Stick around. We'll be back. It's Anything Goes Friday. Although our second hour is going to be Congressman Ro Khanna doing a national town hall meeting right here on our program, taking your calls for the hour. So those of you who want to talk to Congressman Khanna, get ready.
Listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
And welcome back. Mark Taylor-Canfield in Seattle. Hey, Mark, what's going on in Seattle?
Yeah, I just wanted to give you an update, Tom. Since we talked last, the Seattle City Council has voted unanimously to demilitarize the Seattle Police Department. So no tear gas, no pepper spray, no rubber bullets, no concussion grenades, flash grenades. All of these military-grade weapons have now been banned by the Seattle City Council. They've really turned a corner because a lot of these issues that were never dealt with after the WTO demonstrations with mass violations of people's civil rights and police brutality and the massive overuse of these kinds of weapons, which also happened during the May Day protests and other protests in Seattle since then. Finally, the Seattle City Council has taken the responsibility of being good, responsible community leaders and protecting public safety by banning these weapons. They've also banned the practice of black tape as a memorial to fallen officers, which was also an issue that was brought up by the ACLU and other groups during the WTO demonstrations. And they and the history. You look back at the history of that, Mark, and it wasn't. In covering your name tag with tape and saying this is a memorial, what would happen very often is after an officer would die, the rest of the officers would basically start going on rampages, beating people and whatnot. And this is simply a way of preventing accountability for that, in my opinion. Yes.
Anyhow, back to you.
Well, it's been an ongoing issue, and the mayor asked Chief Best to stop doing this. The city council asked the police department to stop doing it, but they just didn't stop voluntarily. So the city council actually had to pass.
Let them wear a black armband or something if they want to memorialize somebody. But covering your name so you're no longer accountable for what you do, no.
Well, yeah, it was the badge number. So putting a piece of black tape on your badge is still acceptable in Seattle as long as it doesn't cover your number and your name tag is clearly visible. That was an issue that Peter Steinberg, the president of the council, passed an ordinance after the WTO to make sure that the name tags are visible because a lot of cops didn't use name tags then, or they covered them with ponchos and things so you couldn't hear them. They've also banned chokeholds. So no more chokeholds by the Seattle police. Of course, that didn't stop the killing of Garner in New York City, so it's just one issue. But it's basically the fact that the Seattle City Council has turned the corner, sort of like in Minneapolis, decided that the Seattle Police Department is not able to reform itself, and so there's going to have to be an outside influence. And that, has been a Justice Department, but even that and the local civilian oversight hasn't done the job. So now the City Council is passing these expansive laws. There's also, I want to let you know, there are marches going to Interstate 5 and the West Precinct every day now from what's being called the Capitol Hill Occupied protest, which is kind of interesting. It harkens back to the Occupy protest with that title. They say that they're protesting. This is not as much an autonomous zone in their minds as an ongoing protest, which should be covered, by the First Amendment. Redress their government for grievances. So this is an ongoing thing. And also the demands are that all the charges against protesters be dropped and that 50% be defunded from the Seattle Police Department. Those are two of the main protest demands right now, Tom.
Okay. Mark Taylor-Canfield. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for the report from Seattle. Good talking to you. We'll be right back. It's coming up on 10 minutes before the hour on Anything Goes Friday.